Earlier this year, I bought this GPZ 900R from eBay. I went to go and have a look at the bike, and as you can see here, it is rather dusty, rather crusty, rather rusty, and nothing on this bike worked. It was going to the scrapyard, or it was going to be stripped for parts, and I didn't want to see either of those things happen to it, so I decided to buy it, to restore it back to its former glory. And I had no idea at this point what I was getting myself into. It was, well, as you can see, every single nut, every single bolt, every single component is corroded on it. Now, here you can see the bike being delivered in the back of a van onto my driveway. It was chucking it down with rain, so I went to Argos and bought that gazebo. I popped the seat cover off and had a look at the wiring, which was a mess. There was an old alarm system on there from 1992, which I had no instructions for or a fob. Inside the fuel tank, as you can see, was rusty and crusty and, well, a write-off basically. The fuse box cover was underneath the seat for some reason and not on the fuse box. So I'm not really sure why. Well, at this point I wasn't sure. So I took the fuel tank off to give myself a little bit better access. I had a look at the spark plugs. They were, well, you can have a look at that. You can just see they're just rust everywhere. I bought myself some decent JIS, Japanese industry standard screwdrivers, so I could start taking this bike apart. So I popped off this side panel, which revealed the washer bottle and some really cool original stickers and service information, which was amazing. So there I am pointing at the washer bottle and showing you that siren from that horrible alarm system. So same on the other side, pop the panel off, which revealed the fuse box. Now, interestingly, there were no fuses in it. The relays were there, but all the fuses had been taken out. Don't know why. So I just carried on. I started, unfortunately, having to use unconventional methods to remove rusty bolts, but once I got them all out, I was able to remove the lower front fairing. I then decided that I wanted to get the carburettors out and give them a rebuild. Now, I don't know if you've ever removed carburettors from a bike before, but this bike was so difficult. I had to wedge a screwdriver in to remove the throttle cable and I had to really force those rubbers off of them, but I did get there in the end. There is a whole video on it. You can have a look at it on my channel. Then decided to have a look at the fuse box. I wanted to take the fuse box off so I could get it on the bench. I stripped it apart completely to every single pin and component. I was then able to find and see and clean all the corrosion off from the inside. And then once I'd done that and I was happy, I put it back together and actually put some fuses in it. So hopefully it would do something, and it did. I got the ignition working and I got this gauge to read 12 volts, which is really cool. With the carburetors on the bench, I, covered them in WD-40. Again, you can see this entire video of me stripping and rebuilding and cleaning these carburetors on my channel. I'll put links in the description to all my other videos with this bike if you're new to the channel. As you can see, the carbs were very grotty. Now, I cleaned out the spark plug holes with my new compressor. I gave it an oil change because I was feeling really super nice. Siphoned some fuel out of my other bike and then got to work trying to get it to run, and I did.
Standing back.
Then with a bit of tuning and fettling with the carburetors, I was able to get the bike running really nicely, and I was really happy with it, with the exception of an oil leak in the cam chain tensioner and a water leak in this plastic filter that you can see here. So I fixed both those leaks. I replaced the cam tensioner, fixed the water leak, then I got it back up running, went through the gearbox. Gearbox is absolutely fine, went through all the gears on the stand on the driveway, and I was really happy. Now, most people at this point would have a look at the brakes, replace the tyres and get riding. But I want to do a nut and bolt restoration on this bike. So I went at it and started taking everything apart again that I'd already taken apart and put back together. So here we go. We take the rear lights off, the rear indicator, the rear number plate, which nearly knocked the tripod over. It wasn't the first time that happened. I had to reciprocating saw off the battery box because the bolts were so rusty I could not get them off at all. So yeah, that was that. After a few bolts, the subframe came off the back, just like that. A few more bolts and I was able to remove the exhaust tailpipes. So that's the right one removed and the left one shortly removed afterwards. Then I had a look at the front of the bike. The radiator came out quite nicely after removing all the bolts. If you have a look at the fan, it's a bit rusty, but it does work. So yeah, here we go. Cage off the front. More unconventional methods for removing bolts from upper fairings. I was able to get that upper fairing plastic out. And then I got distracted and went back to the exhaust. The exhaust manifold, much to mine and everyone else's surprise, came off really easily. Oh, I did knock the camera over though. Back to the fairings, get the fairing off, headlight removed. Speedo cable comes out like that. Electrical connector disconnected, and then we have the clocks, dials, gauges, whatever you want to call them, removed, and the frame that's holding them. Going back to the rear of the bike, I removed the side peg, side stand bracket thing. There was a circlip on the back of it, which was a bit of a nightmare, but I managed to get that off. Then you have to take the what's it called, the clutch cover? No, that's not the clutch cover, the sprocket cover off. And then I was able to wriggle the chain off without taking anything else from the bike, which was actually really nice. You don't have to take the rear wheel off to take the chain off. That's the thermostat. And I then removed the rear brake along with the rear peg stand and brake reservoir all in one because it was just easier. Then here you can see me unconventionally removing the engine on a little trolley thing that I found and my trolley jack, and there we go. So once that was out of the way, I removed the entirety of the wiring loom, and here I am with said wiring loom. It looks like something out of a horror movie. Me, not the wiring loom. Carrying on, a couple of bolts out of the handlebars and the right hand lever / throttle thingy came off, and then the left hand lever also. Then I removed the key switch thing, tapped out this bolt and removed the entire rear wheel with the swing arm assembly and the rear brake and sprocket attached to it. And I did exactly the same with the front suspension, left the forks attached to the wheel and the mudguard and the brakes and everything. I just dropped it off because it was just easier at the time. However, you will see that it's not that easy to take apart on the floor without being attached to the bike. Couple more bits left on the bike now, well, the frame, and this is the final bolt to come out, and this is the final piece to come off. There, done. Completely stripped down. Here are the parts. As you can see, they're very, very rusty. The frame is not in a good shape, although it's not cracked. It's not cracked and it's not bent, apart from the damage I made with the reciprocating saw. Which brings us to now. This is the frame from my GPZ 900R, and I'm going to send it off for vapor blasting. I've got the frame back from the vapor blasting, and I've just got to wipe off this flash rusting. I'm going to give it a coat of primer to stop it from flash rusting again. One coat of primer later. When I first got the frame back from aqua blasting, it started to flash rust quite quickly, as you can see here. So I just grabbed the nearest can of primer and gave it a quick coat of primer. Much to my regret now, that primer was not etch primer, which is special primer that you can use for for adhering to metal. So it basically chemically etches itself to the metal and gives a much better adhesion rate. Now, I could just carry on and leave this primer on here. I'm not going to. I've already started wiping it off because I want the best adhesion and the best quality paint job I can do on this frame, and it is not with that primer that I used. So I am currently using some IPA, isopropanol alcohol, in this little squirty tube thing, and I am using a scour pad with the IPA. You can see it's all over my hands. I need to get it all off the frame, and yeah, I'm not even going to time lapse this because this is I've spent a day on it already. So give me I don't know, probably 3 or 4 seconds of video time, and I'll show you the result. So if I get a little bit of IPA on my scotch pad, give that a bit of a scrub, then use a bit of blue paper, and as you can see, it's cleaned the paint off and it's actually got rid of the flash rusting, so it's gonna come out all right, I reckon. It's coming along nicely. I just wanted to see what you guys thought about this factory welding. Now, in 1985, they didn't have machines to do all this, and this would have all been done by hand, which is why it kind of looks like, I don't know, maybe most of us could do a better job. I've never welded before in my life, and I think I might be able to do better than this, you know? Do you know what would be really cool? If you could get all of these pieces and literally make your own frame from scratch and do a better job. There's even actually weld spatter on here from the factory. How cool is that? Okay, I have got pretty much all of the primer, non-etch primer, off of the frame now, and you can see what it looks like. So this is how it looked pretty much when I got it back from aquablasting, but it's actually got less surface rust on it now because I've been able to clean it all off. Now, when you aquablast steel, you're basically pounding water into it, and steel rusts. So I've actually cleaned it with IPA, which is not water. IPA evaporates in air, so it's actually dry as anything can be. So it's not going to flash rust again between now and actually priming it properly with etch primer. So I can't do that in my workshop because I don't have any ventilation, and I can't do it in the garden today because it is raining. So that's going to have to wait. So let's crack on with something else. First things first, I need to clean my workbench up because it's wow, this is where I was cleaning the frame, and it's covered in grey primer, and do you know what? I probably should have put some gloves on. Also, I will never not show you or tell you the mistakes I have made with this build, or any build, or any video on my channel for that instance, because that's what I am all about. I made a mistake, I did it wrong, I fixed it, and now I'm happy with it again. Yes, it took me 2 days to clean all that primer off, and I know what you're saying. I know what you're going to ask is, why didn't you just get it aquablasted again? Well, simple reason is that it was aquablasted for me for free. Somebody knew about the build and wanted to help me out, so they did that for me. So I couldn't exactly be like, oh, would you mind doing that again for me? Because I don't like taking the mick. I've also got the 2 stands, so I made the same mistake with these as well. so I also had to clean the primer off of those. So this is the rear swing arm and wheel from the bike. And you're absolutely right in thinking it would have been much easier to dismantle this with it attached to the bike. But I don't do things the same way everyone else does or the manual says. I just do it my way. And that's that. So, this is going to be fun. There's a little retaining clip in there. Same on the other side. Right, so this is a chain guard, and it is, well, the plastic is just completely 40 years old, so that's very brittle. So I'm gonna have to try and source. I'd imagine I can get one of those. Not too worried about it. Now, going back to this bit, undo that clip, undo that bolt, undo that clamp, and then hopefully a bar will come out that I can knock out, and then the wheel will come out. That's the idea. So I'm going to try that and see what happens, because I need to get the wheels refurbished and the tyres replaced, because the tyres are mega old. I think one of them is 1993, one of them is 1991. So the rubber is very hard and I'm not going to get a lot of grip on them. So they need to go. If anyone wants them, you can have them. They're Comp K. Yeah, right. Let's crack on. So out with the clip thing. Undo this. Okay. Oh, that's probably just spinning on the other side, isn't it? Because it goes through. Okay, so I need one on both sides. It's probably easier to do this on the floor, isn't it? Okay. Oh, I need to take the other retaining spring thing out of there, which is very rusty. Oh, this has a much larger thing than the other side. It's useful. I don't know if I have one that big. Nope. Okay, I might have to pop to the garage and get a hex socket that fits in there. Brilliant. Right, I've been to the garage and borrowed the socket that I need. Again, if you've been watching these videos, you'll know that I had to borrow it last time. I didn't have it, and I haven't had the opportunity to go buy one since then. Right, so okay, this is not going to be easy, is it? Oh, look at that. Not too bad, not too bad. Doing, doing, doing. Undo that. All the way. Pop that on there. And then, oh, do you know what? I thought I was going to have to hit that with a hammer. But no. It came out. Oh, amazing. That fell out as well. I think that went in there, right? That bit came out. Okay, I might have to consult the manual when putting this back together. Right. Now we have wheel and what's it called? Swing arm separated. Which, I mean, you're probably as surprised as I am as to how easy that was. Like that came off there like that. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I know what we can do. Put that on there. That went on there. That went on there. That went through there. And then that goes on there. And that went that way? Wait, that doesn't seem right. I'm going to have to look at the book, because I don't think that... No. I'll have to... I can look back through the video, see which way it fell out. So here we go. This is the order that everything goes in. So spring clip, funky nut thing, chain adjuster, bush, another bush, chain adjuster, and obviously that's part of the shaft, and then the clip that holds that end on. Now let's take a closer look at the swing arm, which you can see is rather filthy. This is the chain guard I was talking about that is just very brittle. I'm going to take that off in a minute. And we've got a rusty cable or tube retainer, and again just minging. And oh, that's the caliper holder, so I need to pop that one out as well. It's just held in with a bolt, and then you've got this clamp adjuster bolt thing there as well, and then these two. So let's get it stripped down, take all the bolts out, and give it a clean up. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. Yeah. The needle bearings inside here actually look and feel really good, so I think I might just leave them in place. And there we have a completely torn down rear swing arm that is ready for cleaning. Okay, watch this space. So I've actually put the roller bearing sleeve back in the roller bearings at the end and put the shaft seals back on. I'm going to clean this down. I don't want any. I'm planning on keeping the roller bearings because they actually feel fine. So I didn't want any more stuff to get in there than there already is. And I will clean them out, but I'll re-grease them as well. But for now, I don't want any more dirt getting in there, so I've just put them back together. To get the bulk of the grease off, I'm just using some kitchen degreaser, lemon zest or whatever, from a supermarket, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Walmart if you're watching in America. And I'm just hot water mixed with some degreaser, and that'll get most of this dirt off. As you can see, it comes off quite easily to reveal quite a nice looking swing arm. Now it is painted and there is some bubbling on it, if you can see that. So I might repaint it, strip the paint off, redo it, because yeah, it's just, I think that's probably going to be our best option here, unfortunately. Oh well. Okay, have a look at the grease and grime on these drop links. This one's actually not as bad as this one was. It took me a while to clean that. Now, just to show you how thick this is, have a look. Gross, right? Grime. Ugh. Right, okay, back to it. So, I've got a week off and obviously a massive list of things to do, which means it's not really a week off. I need to replace this fence because it's kind of rotten. Also on the list was to trim my eucalyptus tree. I might have gone a little bit overboard because now the garden is eucalyptus tree. That went well. Okay, I have now finished cleaning off all the old primer, which was the wrong primer. So I'm now using etch primer, which is special metal primer that will literally etch the primer into the metal and give it better adhesion than your stock primers. I've also taken the liberty of putting loads of bolts in the thread holes, so I don't have to clean the threads out afterwards. Smart, right? So I've literally just run out and I just didn't quite have enough
to finish off the swing arm out of one can, which is really annoying. But the frame and the stands are done. Yeah. Oh, it's going to look so good when it's painted. So I've finished painting the swing arm with my absolutely incredible silver paint that I got from Halfords. I didn't realise there's a metal flake in it. I don't know if you can tell, but the garden is very sparkly. But it looks great, and it's going to look even better on the bike. Okay, now it's time for painty. So I've actually hung up the smaller bits to a ladder, and the frame is on the floor. So wish me luck, because if I mess this up, I have to start all over again. Now, PPE and health and safety is not something you'll see me care about too often. However, this paint I'm using is 2K paint, and it is nasty stuff. So I have a respirator and some cartridges which will protect me from painting odours. Cool.
2K, black paint, gloss black, shiny. It has an activator in the bottom. So I have to pull this pin out, wind it round, and cut a little canister on the inside of the can that releases, I don't know, the 2K magic.
So pop that in there, like so, and then we pull it and turn it, and that cuts open a little internal canister, yeah, that mixes the two halves of the paint together on the inside. And then you shake it like a Polaroid picture. There we go, there's the centre stand, the front stone chip radiator protector that you can't really tell because it's waving around in the air. There you go, looks nice. And then obviously the main frame to the bike is there, looking very black and very rust free and very shiny. Oh, and the side stand as well. So this is for the swing arm, which I painted silver, as you can see. I'm going to give it some 2K lacquer because that paint is not fuel or solvent resistant, whereas obviously the 2K lacquer is, and it will protect it, make it stay nice for longer, like Daz, keeping your whites whiter than white. Let's have a look at cleaning up the rear shock absorber. Doesn't look great, does it? But I'm hoping most of this grease will come off, and I'm going to file / sand off this rust and give it a recoat of black paint, and hopefully it'll look nice because it performs well, it holds air, and it compresses well, so yeah. All I've done with this is actually cleaned it. I've cleaned the bolt, cleaned the nuts, cleaned the shaft. I took this out, stuck it in my drill, spin it up, cleaned all this, got as much rust off that fitting as I could, wiped all the grease and muck and slime off of that, cleaned this bolt and this nut, and I'm actually not going to do anything else with it. I'm actually really quite chuffed with that, to be honest. The label is like the original one. It's still intact. It's the original shock. It holds there. I don't need to do anything more with that. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So that now brings us to the stage that we've all finally been waiting for. And that is the reassembly. And reassembly, as you all know, is the reversal of removal. And I'm so excited. Like, the frame looks amazing. The swing arm looks brand new. The stands look great. So I'm going to start by putting the swing arm back together in reverse of what I took off of it. So all the plastic covers, the little swing arm bits that attach to the rear shock absorber swing arm bit. That's the first thing to go back onto the frame. So that's the exciting bit. So let's crack on. Here is the freshly painted, rather nice looking swing arm for the bike. Right, so first thing that needs to get back into this is this shaft. Now, hopefully I haven't got too much paint in there. Oh, excellent. It still fits. I was a bit worried about that. And then these little arm things go on either side of it. But they've got roller bearings in, so I'm just going to put a little bit of multi-purpose grease in said holes with, oh, gross, my finger, and then change my gloves. Right, there we go. Make sure that that's nice and greasy. Oh. Here is the other one. Lovely. Because these obviously go up and down and swing around whilst the bike is bouncing. You know, the suspension, blah, blah. So, right, let's pop them on there. Because I don't want grease all over my nice new subframe. Not subframe, swing arm. Come on. Okay. That's a novel idea, isn't it? Put the first one on. There we go. Put the first one on. Oh, and there's retaining. So we've got, each one's got a washer and a retaining ring. So like a little kind of circlet thing going on. So that goes on there, and then that clips on there. Cool. And then bang, that can't come off. So now if I put that back in there, bonk, then this end can now go on. There we go. And pop the washer on and the retaining ring. Stay still. Cool. There we go. And now I'm just going to wipe the excess grease off so I don't get it all over my lovely paint job that I'm actually very proud of. Oh, that's excellent, that is. Chuffed with that. Right. So that's everything I want to do on the underside of it for now. Let's go that way. So on this side there is a chain rail now. The old one had gone all brittle and I had to order a new genuine parts Kawasaki one. It was expensive. This was £50, so that's about what, $65–70 if you're watching in America. You're probably not. Don't ask me about all the other countries. Euros, probably about €60. So, and that just goes on there, hopefully.
There we go. Oh, perfect. And then, see that? This is why we bag everything up. Chain guard, broken one. I can use the same screws because they're fine. They're not actually. They could do with replacing. I might order some new screws just for the purposes of making it look brand new. Excellent. Pop them in. This is the first piece to go back on the frame, and I noticed it's got an arrow on it and it's not quite symmetrical. So quick reference to the Haynes manual, and it is actually suggested that not suggested, it is actually telling me that it's called a relay arm, which I didn't know, and it's fitted with the arrow pointing forwards. So that's cool and good to know. So here is one rather shiny painted frame of the GPZ. So first things first, I need to take out all the bolts I put in to block the holes to stop paint from going in. I just thought it might save me a bit of time at this stage, else I'd have to re-tap all the holes. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll fit the first part back to it. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with a 10-minute video of me doing this. So let's cut to me already having done this. And there we go. All my threaded hole plug bolt things done. Now, here we go. This has been a long time coming. This is the first component to go back on the bike. So let's just get that done. So arrow pointing towards the front of the bike, that goes in there like that. This is exciting. Pop that in there. The nut. Don't worry, I will check, I don't know what that was. I will check the torque settings for all these bolts once the bike is kind of a little bit more assembled, because I can't get a torque wrench on there and hold it for the correct torque at the minute. So I will do that. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. It's questionable, but I know about torque settings. Don't panic. Buzz gun will do for now. I've put it on the lightest setting on the buzz gun, so you know that's obviously needs to be a bit tighter than that, so I don't want to tighten it too much. Ah, you know that noise you heard a second ago? Something fell onto my computer keyboard and it's turned my computer on. Which I can't get to at the minute because there's too many motorbike bits in here. Never mind. Right, the next bit that goes on is the shock absorber. Now, all I've done with this is cleaned it and checked that it holds air, which it does. So, oh, there you go, it's even got a little bit in there. So, you should have seen this before. It was so grubby, and I love the fact that I'll be keeping the original label, which is still in very, very good condition. So, cool. That goes on there like that, and it attaches to this little arm here. So let's get that one. I can't. I'm gonna have to put this down. Hold on. Here's something funny. I'm actually using my videos to figure out which way in the bolts went. Next thing to come off, I'm going to take off. Okay, so that's going to go on there like that. Now these nuts are quite cool. They're like lock nuts. I don't know if you can see, but there's like a locking mechanism there to make sure that they don't come undone. Not seen that kind of design before. Put that on there. And then that should. Oh, we need to. don't know if you can see, I'm just taking the suspension adjuster thing off because it's got to go through a hole, which it can't go through at the minute. Same with that. Do that in a minute. Okay. Pop that in there like that. It's finally coming together, folks. What's that in there for? Like I said, I will torque these up correctly once the bike is kind of like got some wheels on and I've got something to grip onto. Buzz Lightyear to the rescue. Cool. Bike has suspension. Can you actually see what I'm doing? I'm just, hold on. There we go. So I've just put the suspension adjuster in there, and I'm just going to pop that in there. There we go. Cool. I'll get a plastic cap cover thing for that. So now I'm going to attempt to attach the wing arm. Well, I don't know if I've got enough space on the workbench. Yeah. Just might have to move a couple of bits and pieces. That'll do for that. This is a masterclass of how to probably do it in the most awkward way possible. Oh yes. Look at that. Wow. You could almost ride it down the road. Oh. I didn't realise you couldn't see it. Look at it, it's coming along. It is coming along. Right, let's get the nut on there. So I guess it goes. Oh, it goes like that. Okay. That is quite a big nut. Again, I'll check the torque settings and get them to the right torque, because we don't want anything breaking now, do we? Brilliant. Join me next time where I will be carrying on with this, obviously. I'll probably focus my attention on the rear wheel assembly or the front shock absorber and suspension assembly, and the wheels. Probably be a combination of those, and then get the stands on, which are painted. So whatever it is, I'll try and make it as interesting and as fun as possible for you guys to watch. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, it goes without saying, then hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Cheers!